I have expected you. Welcome to my Miraculous Truth and Lies rant. I'm AngryArapy, but you can call me Era, so let us start. Before we jump in, I just want to say that this video is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 are my general problems, Part 2 is about the truth episode, Part 3 is about the lies episode. There are also timestamps in the description if someone wants to use them. So let me go into the first part. Pacing. The pacing. Where is it? I have to ask, where is it? There's a general problem in this show with time never really being mentioned, which is a problem I will get to more later on. But there are so many things that are time related that are never explained. When I watched both episodes first, I wasn't sure if everything was happening on the same day or not, because it seemed like it, but apparently it doesn't. It's just really confusing. There's a reason why notes for time are made in writing of stories, but apparently we don't have that for Miraculous, so the pacing is just a big question mark. Shadow Moth is another weird thing. Even though Gabriel is described as a famous fashion designer, I don't see it in Shadow Moth. Shadow Moth just kinda looks ridiculous. And I do believe they could have done better, but it also seems that they didn't care enough to do it better. And I don't have much more to say about Shadow Moth because he just looks weird. Firstly, Marinette is definitely not ready to be the Guardian. I still don't understand why Master Fu made her the Guardian, and I don't think I ever will. I also don't understand how she is still functioning. In general, considering that, we don't know how much time has passed since Miracle Queen, but I'm assuming it's a few months at least. Also, if we take in account what was said in Furious Fu. I don't quite understand why she only starts to break after this. I guess it has something to do with her letting out all the Kwamis, which is another problem in itself. She has let them out of the box, so why can't she put them back in there? She's the Guardian after all. I get that it wouldn't hurt if some of them would be out, but the fact that all of them are out all the time just seems kinda not good to me. Also, the fact that she is lying so much. In the first few seasons, it made sense, even though it was questionable at some points. But I just feel that, especially here, it just becomes too much. And considering that she's supposed to be the role model of the show, there are generally some things that are really, really questionable. So I don't really know what to think of this because it's just concerning, essentially. Luka. Oh, Luka. Or how I like to call him since Truth, Luka suddenly has a backstory, caffeine. I also wonder, why has he never said anything about his father before? Why was the episode where we get to know who his father is also the episode where we got to know that he wants to know who his father is? It just seems rushed to some extent. Like, there was an entire season 3, where they could have even one offhand sentence from him where he expresses that he would like to know who his father is, but his mother doesn't allow it. So this just is weird writing to me. There certainly would have been better ways to do this. But okay. Another thing I don't completely understand is why he was such a big Jagged Stone fan. Maybe they wanted to imply that he knew subconsciously, which I think I would have believed if it wasn't implied that Jagged left shortly after Luka and Julika were born, which is another problem I get to in a second. Like, if he would have subconsciously remembered Jagged's face and then became a fan of him without realizing why, I think it would have been interesting. But with the implications and what was explained, it just seems weird. Also, why did he remember that Jagged was his father? Throughout the entire first 3 seasons, it always seemed like the people who were akumatized after being de-akumatized didn't remember anything that happened. So I don't really get why he remembered that. At least it seemed like it. Maybe he didn't, but it seemed like he did. Now we get to other small stuff I can't even remember if I don't write it down. 2 things. Firstly, why are the Amok and the Akuma in the same object? I get that they probably did it to save animation time and fighting time and all that stuff, but is Shadow Moth really that dumb? Because if he would have split them up, there would have been a bigger chance that he would have won, if we're honest, but I get that it was to save time, but for the story, it just seems slightly weird. And the other thing is the sibling problem. This is a long one, so get ready. So I found an interesting conversation on Twitter between Thomas and a user with the @TechCodaAguada. I hope I pronounced that right. I will just call him Agu for ease. And he asked Thomas under his pinned tweet, which he made so fans can ask questions, and I quote, "Can you explain why when Luka first appeared, he was 2 years older than Julika and now they suddenly are twins?" On the tweet he attached 2 images, the first one being quite old, where a fan asked him, "How tall is Luka? Is Luka taller than Adrien?" To which Thomas replied, "A bit taller as he's older," and another person asked, "How old is he?" with Thomas answering approximately 2 years older than his sister. The second image shows a question and an answer from the 3rd of April of 2021, with the question from the fan reading, "Is Julika also Jagged's daughter?" To which Thomas replied, "As Luka and Julika are twins, yeah." Which is kinda weird, so understandable that he asked. Thomas replied to that tweet with the 2 screenshots, "We changed our mind." Argu then asks, "But can you change the age of a character that easily? Why did you change it?" Which is a good question, I may add. Thomas replied to that with, "Why not? Age is never mentioned. We originally thought of him as a big brother, then thought it would be more interesting as twin. That's all." To which Argu again replied, I'm saying replied a lot, aren't I? "It seems ill-conveyed to me. Like you don't know where you want the characters to be." To which Thomas again replied, "We do. This detail don't change the purpose of the character. That's how writing works. You don't set every detail before writing the story itself. It's better to leave doors open in case you find something better along the way." To which Argo again adds, "Of course it changes something. From big brother to twin brother changes the relationship between the characters." To which Thomas then replied, and with which the conversation ends, "Given what had been shown in the show before we changed our mind, it made no difference. You wouldn't have noticed anything if it wasn't for these tweets." Regarding Thomas' first answer, the "we changed our mind," I have so many issues with this. "We changed our mind" is, in my opinion, something that would be alright to say for a team who is developing a story before it's released. But we are talking about a, I presume, big team of writers and other people who work on the show under a big company. This just seems weird to me. Regarding the age is never mentioned, that's also a problem. We kinda got some information regarding some of the birthdays of the characters. Mainly that Marinette turned 14 or 15? I don't remember. That she turned 14 or 15 in Befana, but we also, for that, we don't have a date. We practically know nothing about the time and the age of the people, which is a problem in itself. It's funny to me that Thomas says you don't set every detail before writing the story itself, because I kinda learned the opposite. Obviously, it's fine if stuff changes while the story is being written, but if the story is being released officially, there shouldn't be such changes. Also, regarding the "it made no difference," yes, it did. The fans had a picture of him that now got suddenly changed. And to the "you wouldn't have noticed anything if it wasn't for these tweets," that's the thing, isn't it? We did notice. Because of these tweets. If he wouldn't have said that Luka is 2 years older, there wouldn't be any issues. But he gave an official response to a question from a fan. Also, the Miraculous wiki says that Jeremy confirmed season 4 in May of 2017, and then in January of 2018 confirmed further that they are working on it in this Instagram post, which reads, I quote, "Just arrived in Paris working with the team on season 4 and 5 of Miraculous Ladybug." The earliest Thomas could have said that Luka is 2 years older is at the end of March 2018, because that's the time around which Captain Hard Rock was released. The date on the screenshot is cut off and the tweet was deleted, so I have no idea when exactly he answered that. I have not much understanding of how TV shows are written, but it seems really weird to say/confirm a character's older than most others, but then within the near future deciding that he's younger and not correcting oneself. But maybe that's just me and I just don't understand a lot about how TV shows work. Now to lies. Firstly, about Adrien. Who is it and what did he do with Adrien? Adrien is so out of character, I'm not sure if I've ever seen an episode of another show where a character is so out of character, and it's really confusing. And Cat Noir's behavior isn't any better. The fact that he's hoping for people to get akumatized is really worrying. And I'm not sure if at this point, or at that point, he isn't as bad as Marinette herself, who did a lot of questionable things. And Cat Noir seems to follow her path, so that's kinda concerning. Also, I did the math a little bit, because this is the first Adrien-focused episode we get over the entire show. And the only reason why it is an Adrien-focused episode is because there is another parallel episode that shows Marinette's view. So the only reason Marinette doesn't have a plot in this episode is because she has another episode all to herself. Also, I may add that, as far as I could find, the first episode of Miraculous premiered at the 1st of September in 2015 in South Korea, and Lies premiered on the 10th of April in Switzerland. And between these two dates, there are 2048 days. That's 292 weeks and 4 days. And between these two episodes are 78 other episodes, which were all quite Marinette focused. So I'm just kind of confused. Why is Adrien listed as a protagonist? This doesn't seem like he's a protagonist. Regarding Kagami, she's not in the wrong, I would think. And the only other thing I have to say to her, that yes, she was quite pushy with Adrien, but also wasn't in the wrong. And I mean, if we look back at what Adrien as Cat Noir has done a few times, I would almost say he got what he gave. Regarding Lies, who approved of this? I would like to talk to the person who approved of this, because this is ridiculous. I think the design is alright, but her powers, or her power, she only has one, is so weird, and I do think it is the worst Akuma since the beginning of the show. And I do think there would have been a better option. And I would just like to understand who came up with the idea and who thought it was good. A sphere in which everyone who ever lied is paralyzed? When did they come up with this idea? It feels like an idea that someone had at like 3 a.m. and thought it was good. But the next day they should have noticed that it wasn't good. But they didn't. Regarding Fang, I don't really know what to say. They said that he's a crocodile, so he can't lie, but you can't tell me that he never destroyed a pillar or something and tried to not admit to it. I would count that as a lie. Also, don't hold crocodiles or alligators or any big reptiles for that matter as a pet. Dangerous, and you shouldn't do it. And I think this is it. I don't really have anything else to say. I just want to put this out because I wanted to. I hope that the show gets better, but I don't think so. And I think this is it. So, see ya.